There is a tin in the back of my closet with a little over $4,000 folded up inside it, mostly hundreds, soft at the corners from being handled so many times. And for the life of me, I could not tell you anymore who I was keeping it for. 93 years old. People hear that and they want a story that wraps up neat. I do not have one of those. My name is Odessa, in case that matters to you, though most people who knew me by it are not around to use it anymore. I have a tin of money and a closet that smells like cedar blocks, and a question I keep turning over without ever quite finishing it. I raised my daughter by myself. Worked nights at a hospital most of my life, the kind of work where you come home still smelling like the floor cleaner they use, and you sleep through the part of the day when the light is good, and you are up again before anybody else's house has gone quiet. I did not mind it, mostly. You get used to a schedule. I got used to mine. There was a particular vending machine on the 3rd floor that ate quarters and never gave anything back, and for about a decade I would put a quarter in it anyway, every shift, almost out of spite, like I was going to wear it down eventually. Never did get anything out of that machine. Do not know why I kept trying. There was a summer she wanted to go off to some program, music or art. I genuinely do not recall which anymore. It is strange what slips and what stays. Cost more than I made in 3 months at the time. I picked up the overnight shift on top of my regular one for half a year. Used to fall asleep sitting up in the break room with my shoes still on, just for 10 minutes, and somebody would wake me when my next round started. There was a particular nurse, younger than me, who would cover for me those 10 minutes without either of us ever discussing it. Just an understanding that built up over enough nights. Never thought twice about any of it. Packed her bag myself the morning she left for that program. Folded each shirt twice the way my own mother used to fold mine. Years went on like that. When she and her husband wanted a house, bigger than what they had, in a part of town that made my stomach drop a little when I saw the price, the bank wanted somebody to put their name down alongside theirs. Somebody steadier. I sat in that office and signed where the woman pointed, and my hand was shaking enough that she had to slide the page back to me for a second signature. The first one came out crooked. After that, I started folding bills into an envelope every month before I paid my own anything, and mailing it along, quiet, no note, nothing said about it. Used the same kind of envelope every time, the long ones with the little window. Bought them in a box of 100 from the drugstore so I would never run out. 3 years of that. Never once mentioned it out loud to either of them. When I found out she was expecting, I started a quilt, pieced it from old clothes, my own, and some that had been my mother's before me. A strip of a dress here, a sleeve there. Worked on it most evenings for a couple months. Was not invited to the shower. Told myself that was just an oversight, busy time. These things happen. Decided I would drive up and surprise her instead. Left before the sun was up. Drove most of a day, more state lines than I felt like counting. The quilt folded on the seat beside me in a paper bag because I had not gotten around to wrapping it properly. I remember the radio cutting in and out somewhere around the middle of the drive and not bothering to fix the dial. Could hear the party from the street when I parked. Music, people laughing. I walked up with that paper bag in my hand, and she saw me through the window before I had even gotten to the door, and her face did something I had never seen it do before. She had me out on the porch before I could say a word. Looked me up and down, my shoes, mostly. Said something about her husband's family being inside, about how it would not look right. There was a particular way she glanced back over her shoulder toward the window, checking who could see us, before she had even finished the sentence. I stood there holding that paper bag like it might explain something on its own if I just held it out a little further. Her husband came to the door, said something to her I could not quite hear, and then there was a man in a uniform standing next to me with his handlight on my arm, walking me back down the driveway past all those cars I did not recognize. Nice ones. The kind with the paint still looking wet, even though it was not. I did not fight it. Sat in my car a long while after, the quilt still in its bag on the seat, the party still going behind me through the windshield. Drove home in the dark. Did not cry the whole way, kept waiting for it, and it just never showed up. What showed up instead was quieter than that. My name is still on that mortgage, I thought, just sitting there in my head, plain as anything, refusing to leave. Got home near midnight and did not go to bed. Sat at the kitchen table with the lamp on and pulled the loan papers out of the file cabinet, the same drawer where I keep the warranty cards for appliances I do not own anymore. A toaster, I think, long since gone. The warranty card still sitting in there like it is waiting on something. Read through the loan papers slow, twice, with my glasses pushed up on my head half the time because I kept forgetting I needed them. There was a line in there about what happens if the person backing the loan and the people borrowing it have what they called an irreparable breakdown. Said the bank could call the whole balance due. I read that line a third time, sat with it a while. The clock on the stove had been blinking 12 for years, ever since a storm knocked the power out, and I had never reset it, just left it blinking, and that night it seemed like the only thing in the house that was honest about not knowing what time it was. Then I turned off the lamp and went to bed. Called the bank Monday morning. Told the woman on the phone, calm as I could manage, that there had been a breakdown in the relationship and I was withdrawing my name from the obligation. Told her about the envelopes too, the 3 years of them, the box of drugstore envelopes still half full in my desk drawer. She got a different tone in her voice partway through, said she would escalate it. My daughter called a few days after that, the kind of fast, high voice that comes right before crying. Said the bank was calling everything due, asked what I had done, said I had ruined them. I let her get all the way through it before I said anything. Told her I had not called to ruin her, just that my name was tied to something that ended on a porch on a Saturday. She cried. Said it was a misunderstanding, asked me to call back and undo it. I told her I loved her. Then I said I had to go, and I went and stood at the sink for a while after, running the water over my hands longer than they needed it, watching it go from cold to warm to too warm without doing anything about it. I will not walk through the rest of it, the house, the lawyers, what I heard through people who knew us both. I did not go looking for any of that, and I am not going to start now telling it to you. I have never met the baby. Not the mortgage, not the porch, not the man in the uniform, that. A child who is walking around somewhere right now not knowing my name exists. The quilt is still in the bag, still in the closet, same shelf as the tin. I take it out sometimes, not often, just to look at the stitching, see where I rushed a seam toward the end because I was trying to finish before the drive. There is a square in the corner made from a blouse I wore to my own mother's funeral. I remember cutting into it and hesitating, scissors halfway through the fabric, before I kept going. Do not know what I am keeping the quilt for either, if I am honest. Cannot exactly give it to anybody now, and cannot make myself get rid of it. The cedar blocks in that closet need replacing. Probably have for a year or two. They stop smelling like anything after a while, and you forget to check. And then one day you notice the moths got into a sweater you had not worn anyway, and you think, well, I should replace those and then you close the closet door and do not. Some months I still fold a few bills and put them in that tin, same as I used to do for the envelopes. Do not send them anywhere. Just fold them and set them in. Same motion my hands have always known, and close the lid and put it back on the shelf next to the quilt, and go on with whatever the rest of the evening was going to be.